You have heard and learned throughout your academic experience all these tips and tricks of how to best set up your classroom. But sometimes when you get in that moment, you kind of scratch your head and think, I don't know what to do first. Welcome back to part 2 of tips and tricks for establishing your classroom. Remember, this is your path to the classroom. If you haven't watched part 1, go back, watch part 1 as we talk about the larger setup. In this video, I want to talk about things like how do I ensure that students aren't just getting up and sharpening their pencil in the middle of my lesson? How do I move from the carpet to your desk, or from the carpet to lining up to head out to lunch or to specials? How do I establish things like they need to use the restroom or they need a drink of water without disrupting the classroom environment? Those are some of the things we're going to dive deeper into this part 2 of how do I establish my classroom. So you want to be a teacher. You just got your first job and you have set up your classroom. You've designed and decorated all the walls. You walk into this classroom and it just feels like you're home away from home. Now I want us to think through all those little details that help your day run smoothly. We are going to start back in that math manipulative corner. Oftentimes, it does not matter what grade level you teach, up through upper elementary, you are going to have some sort of wood type structure that has shelves where you might have math manipulatives or games or things that your students can take when they're finished with their work. How do I best organize that? Well, that comes with the question of what grade am I teaching? For our younger grades, our K even up to 2nd grade, making sure that you have visuals that shows them what is in each bin or bucket is going to be a game changer for you. Because guess what? Kids will be kids. And sometimes they'll pull all of these blocks out of this bucket and they'll end up in the bears bucket, or they'll pull out the games from this area and they end up in a different area. So the visuals will really help them to take some of that ownership and responsibility of keeping that area clean. Add pictures, tape over it, and make sure that the students know that when it is time to put things back, that they need to use those visuals to help guide them to put things back in the correct spot. That will save your sanity and theirs. The next big tip and trick, sharpening pencils. Students love to sharpen pencils, especially if you have an electric pencil sharpener. A couple different ways that you can do this. This can be a job. A student can be the pencil sharpener and they can end their day or start their day sharpening any pencils that need to be sharpened. You can make sure that every student has at least 2 pencils that are sharpened in their pencil box or in their desk to use during the day. You can have a basket that says dull, short, and rather than sharpening, they will put their dull pencil in the dull basket and grab a sharp one and then go back to their seat. All of these tips allow you to continue teaching with very little disruption for the student who needs a pencil. So you are going to have to decide which strategy works best for you. The next big one is all of the questions that your students have. Sometimes they need to go to the bathroom at the most inopportune time. Sometimes they want to drink at the most inopportune time. Sometimes they decide they want to wash their hands right in the middle of a lesson. So there are many tips and tricks out there for the best way to do that. Sometimes it is a finger system. 1 finger up means they have to use the restroom. 2 fingers up, they need to get a drink. 3 fingers up, they need to wash their hands. And they will show you that and you will decide, yep, you can point to them. They don't even need to have a verbal response because you have established that routine for the students. You can embed bathroom breaks and drink breaks within your learning. It gives the students a quick moment to breathe, and that is a good transition from one thing to the next. So after you've spent time on the carpet or you've done a reading lesson, you might take a quick bathroom break. During that break, while students are using the restroom, use that as a learning opportunity. Play games, play guess my word. It starts with the letter or the sound B. And now you're not losing learning time, but you're turning it into a fun opportunity to learn while students are using the bathroom. Obviously, emergencies happen, and you need to take those into consideration. But the more routine you can establish to prevent students getting up right in the middle of your lessons, the easier and smoother your day will go. Those are some great tips and tricks for establishing kind of that routine in your math manipulative center, your sharpening your pencils during the day, and using the restroom. The next big one I want to talk about is transitioning from one spot to another. This can be really hard, especially for our youngest students. Sometimes the minute you move them from the carpet back to their seats, you have students all over. It kind of just turns into a little bit of a chaotic situation. Some tips and tricks for how to best do this. I will say it through and through. I am a play-based educator. I believe that play motivates and encourages our students. So I always took those opportunities to turn it into a game. Sometimes I would do rhyming, sometimes it was if your name rhymes with Mela, line up. And so then the whole class would erupt, Layla, and Layla would line up. Sometimes that took a little longer. Sometimes I would choose the colors that they're wearing. If you're wearing red, line up or go back to your table. So find opportunity to turn it into a game. Maybe you ask them with 5 fingers to hide. Don't show anybody, but put up 1 to 5 fingers, whatever number you want. And if, let's say, they're holding up 3, when you call out number 3, they get to go back to their seat or they get to go line up. Now you are integrating reinforcement of learning as a part of your transitions. Music is always a great transition as well. You are going to play music, but when the music turns off, you need to be either at your seat or lined up. Those are some great tips and tricks to help you with transitions. Our final tip and trick before we end this, how do I best establish my classroom? It's some of the teacher aspects. You are preparing for a substitute. You have a week's worth of worksheets or learning materials that you are trying to organize. Buckets, buckets, and buckets. Go into the dollar store and get different buckets. Label them Monday through Friday. Put all your Monday work in one bucket, your Tuesday work. That way, if you have to be out of the classroom or you are sick one day, the week is already set up and that sub can come in and hopefully just pick up right where you left off because everything is set up in the bucket. The other thing is that make emergency sub plans. Have them be very generic. You can go over or reinforce learning that you've already done in the past, but have a drawer or a bucket that says emergency sub plans. And if you have to be out and you are not able to make sub plans, those emergency sub plans are your lifesaver. The sub can come in, pull those, and they should be able to get through a day until you can get back and establish next steps with your students. There are some big tips and tricks on how to set up some routines and make sure that your class is safe, secure, and comfortable for your students' learning experience as well as your teaching. I hope that you have taken away some tips and tricks on how to establish your classroom as well as some of those smaller routines to make things run smooth. See you next time.